Hello, my name is Pugzilla, and today I'll be showing you how to change particle colors for Valve's Deadlock. We have one prerequisite before we start, which is a community-developed tool, which is the Mr. Sir VPCF color editor. It's a Python-based tool with a GUI that will allow us to select any color and change it to any other color for a particle. To download this, you'll have to have a version of Python installed, so I recommend visiting the Python website and downloading one of their releases. On top of that, I'd recommend you join the community modding Discord, and if you navigate to the modding guide section, Mr. Sir has created the VPCF color editor guide detailing how to use it. So, to start, let's open our Deadlock with tools. With the project date config tool open, I'll be creating a new add-on specifically for this particle demonstration. You can use one of your existing add-ons if you wish. For this example, I'll be changing Lady Geist's life drain colors to purple. So I'll call my add-on Purple Drain. With our add-on created, let's navigate to it and hit Explore Content folder. Here we'll see an empty folder with which we'll populate the folder directory leading to our particle. Let's minimize that for now. We'll need to locate which particles we'll be using exactly. Let's open our installation of Deadlock. Using the console in-game, we'll figure out which particles are being used in the instance so we can figure out what exactly we need to locate in Source2 Viewer and export. In the files, there are tons of unused particles, and we need to locate exactly which ones are being used respective to their abilities. So for this example, I'll be using Geist's Life Drain. Hitting F7, we can open the console. The command we'll be using is dump particle list, all one word. Entering that into the console, you'll see a big list of particles that are currently used in the instance. For example, Abram's book, we got some wind particles. You get the idea. What we need to do is activate our ability and at the same time activate dump particle list in the console. Now you can see here we have the abilities for Geist's Life Drain listed here. So we have 6 particles: Life Drain Beam, Debuff, Debuff Ring, Start Player, Start Target. Hit Ctrl-C to copy these particle names, and we can now exit Deadlock. In order to keep track of these particles, I'm going to create a text document and paste those particles inside. Now that I know exactly which particles I need to change, let's open Source2 Viewer. When you have Source2 Viewer, you can also open your content folder for the add-on you created earlier. With Source2 Viewer open, let's click on Deadlock, Game Citadel Pack 01, Particles, Abilities, and whichever hero name your particle will be under. For my example, I need to find Ghost because Lady Geist's codename in the files is Ghost. So let's find that, and we can see a big long list of particles that are currently used in game. I need to find these 6 I pasted earlier. But before we do that, we'll need to recreate the file structure that leads to these particles. So I'll need to create a folder called Particles, Abilities, and then the name of our hero inside of the content add-on created at the start. So let's create that now. Particles, Abilities, and the name of our hero. Inside this folder we just created will be our decompiled particles. Let's navigate back into Source2 Viewer and export all of the particles we wrote down earlier. So I need to find Life Drain, right click on it, decompile and export, and you want to decompile and export this to the hero name folder we just created in our add-on. So let's locate my add-on called purple drain, particles, abilities, and put it in here. Now we can see I've decompiled the VPCF here, the valve particle file, and I'll continue to do that for each particle listed in my notepad. So I need to find ghost life drain beam, ghost life drain debuff, ghost life drain debuff ring, ghost life drain start player, and start target. Now that I have all of my decompiled particles in my add-on folder, I can minimize source to viewer, and I can X out of my notepad. I can also X out of my content folder for my add-on. From here we can launch CSDK12 to preview our particles in the asset browser. Typing the name of your particle up into the search bar here, you can see all of the files associated. Here we can see all of the particles we decompiled earlier. Knowing that our particles are in the asset browser, we can minimize the tools. And assuming you downloaded the VPCF color editor application earlier, we can open that now. On your first open, it will ask you to select a parent folder. You want this to be the same folder you decompiled your particles to earlier. Hitting OK will take you to this GUI, which will show you each of the particles and their respective colors. For this example, I'll just be changing the base colors of this red and this green-ish color to purple. So I can change it to purple. And if I hit Save Changes, that will save changes to the particles in the asset browser. Let's do that for all of these particles here. And once we've saved all of those changes, we can open the asset browser back up to preview how they look. If you don't like how they look, you can simply edit them again. And we can see how that change looks in the asset browser. So, once you've finalized the look of your particles, we can close these tools. Opening the asset browser back up, I'm going to compile each of these particles we changed. Once you've done that, right-click on any of your particles, navigate to File, whichever name of your particle is, .vpcf_c. Hovering over this, you can open the folder, and from here you can see all of the compiled particles in your add-on. Let's go backwards in the directory until we can see a particles folder. It will look something like this. Right-click on that, copy it, and then we'll create a new folder that we'll use to compile our add-on. I'll call this purple drain, and in here we'll post our compiled particles. This is the correct file structure that you would have created anyway in your content path. It just simply lets us skip some time by copying it that way. So now let's close our tools and open Source to Viewer Backup. Up in the left-hand corner, there's a File button. Let's click that. Create new VPK from folder. Right-click on New VPK. Add existing folder. The folder we just created with our compiled particles. We can see they're here. And then we can right-click New VPK. Save VPK to disk. And you'll want to name it along this file naming structure. Pack, PAK, 2 numbers up to 99, _dir. I'm simply going to rename one of my existing packs. Once we've done that, we can close Source to Viewer and open our installation of Deadlock to see if our particle change is reflected in game. And with luck, you'll have your particle recolor done and dusted. And there you have it.